They coming for us or they coming for you?
The power. If you have a connection to Marvin Thomas, you have a connection to organized crime.
I'm not getting into no war with my son in the trench.
There's still a price that needs to be paid.
I hope your son knows how much you love him.
You don't know what you're doing, Kanan.
The moment that we've all been waiting for is finally here. But what's great about this season is, every single chess piece may be in position, but we don't know what moves they're gonna make. Where does the queen move? Where does the knight or the rook move? Are some gonna be taken off the chessboard, and will it be checkmate for Ronnie or will it be checkmate for Raquel? For law enforcement, will it be Marvin or Detective Howard? When it comes to power, expect the unexpected, and expect a lot of twists and turns, where they tie up some loose ends, but also leave us with some questions about what the future holds going into season 4. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down the trailer as usual. We're going to be going in depth in terms of the scenes that we've seen, not just from the episode trailer, but all the scenes that have been left out from the official and season trailer to give us the best possible picture for all things Raising Kanan, Season 3, Episode 10. Now the title for Episode 10 is Made You Look, and the synopsis reads, desperation sets in for Howard as he tries to evade the task force. Meanwhile, Ronnie goes on the attack, leaving Rock and Kanan to make some fateful choices. Now, what do they mean by Made You Look? The first thing that comes to mind is Nas. He has a track called Made You Look, whether it's a coincidence or not, like I always say and like Captain Baptiste said in 309.
There's no such thing as coincidence in South Jamaica.
So Made You Look I think is going to be a theme that runs across the entire episode, where for the entire season they've been building the foundation to give us a huge twist right at the end, very much so like, haha, made you look. So I think it's going to be the fact that they've made us look like they've killed Lou, when in fact, it most likely will be revealed he's at a rehab center. They could also finally reveal who could be Breeze, when they've made us look in Ronnie's direction, who I personally believed is just Ronnie, a red herring to throw us off for when the real Breeze is introduced. They've also made us look in Marvin's direction for majority of the task force's investigation, but have the tables now turned over to Detective Howard. And finally, the last Made You Look could be Kadeem, Unique Mathis.
You know him like I know. Until that body shows up, he ain't dead.
So that's just my personal opinion on the episode title and the general theme of episode 10, where they're saying family cuts deep. Now, we've got Howard back at mosque, which is something we haven't seen in a while. When things are going well, people tend to swell up with self-pride and look at their success to their own doing, and it is easy to forget about God. But when times are hard and troublesome, God is the first person that they turn to. It's a life lesson. Never forget about God. And it is interesting that we are now seeing Howard here at this moment in time, when he's going to face one of his biggest challenges yet, with the last time being when he survived a near-death experience.
Rock, they coming for us.
They coming for us or they coming for you?
Now, Rock isn't stupid. I think she knows when Howard isn't telling the truth, and this is one of those moments. Howard says a task force is coming for them, but in reality, it seems like Agent Tanner has his eyes set on Detective Howard. So we're going to see Agent Tanner pressing Howard around his connections to Marvin Thomas, and if he has connections to Marvin, then he has connections to organized crime. And this time around, Howard looks very worried compared to the last time he dealt with Agent Tanner and Captain Baptiste, where he was very quick with his responses. He turned it back around on Captain Baptiste and said he was the one who told him to bury any dirt left over from Detective Berg, as well as reaffirming he has no connection to Marvin. So where do they go with this particular storyline? Because the FBI aren't leaving this season without a win. That's something I'm pretty sure of. Law enforcement are definitely getting a win. It's just a question of whether it'll be Howard or will it be Marvin, or who knows, could it even be both? Like Detective Howard says, there's a price that needs to be paid, and someone will have to take one for the team. But will it be Marvin or will it be Detective Howard? Now, with Marvin himself, we've got him at the cemetery. Who we could be visiting is a whole host of characters which dates all the way back to season 1. But the most logical explanation is the most recent, Gerald Moore and his daughter Alice. He was there for both of them throughout season 3, until he found out Gerald betrayed him by talking to the FBI, before he died through an overdose. Now, one question I do think is worth asking, did Gerald do it himself, or did Marvin have a hand in it before he met up with Rock? She told him even though he was a snitch, they couldn't touch him, because it would easily trace back to Marvin. But he didn't answer the question, and the way the events fell in 309, it could well be a possibility that Marvin could have had a hand, but it could also be Gerald doing it to himself, because of all the pressure that he was under by the FBI, him losing Alice, and everything getting just too much for him. Either way, Gerald is now gone, Marvin's here at the cemetery just like he was with Renee at the end of season 2, and he needs to watch his back, as well as be there for his family against threats in the streets. Now, the last time these guys met, it was certainly, let's just say, a very feisty conversation with neither of them backing down. This time around, I think it's going to go a little different. because we do hear Rock say she doesn't want to get into a war with her son and the other trench. So let's remember, Rock did go to Joaquin to tell him she was getting rid of Juliana, not to ask for permission to tell them what she was going to do. And I do think this is what she could be doing in this scene, coming here out of courtesy to tell Snaps and Pop she's going to make a move on Ronnie to protect her son. But would Snaps and Pop give their go-ahead to Rock to get rid of Ronnie, someone who they've made an investment in? If Rock gets rid of Ronnie, then they lose their money and their investment. So why would Snaps ever agree? I think something worth more than their investment is a favor from someone like Rock. In this game, sometimes it is a favor for a favor, and having Rock owe you one isn't such a bad thing to cash in on later on down the line. So I can see the situation either ending with Rock paying Snaps off or telling them that she'll owe them a favor in the future. Either way, I do think Snaps and Pop are here going into season 4. I think these are two characters who are way too powerful to touch or get rid of at this moment in time. So whatever happens here, I do think it will rumble on into season 4. Now with Stefano, many of you may remember that I said Pop slipped up in their conversation with Rock in 308. She told her that she's Stefano's type, so I wouldn't be surprised to see her using her charm. We hear him telling Rock, "I hope your son knows how much you love him," and that's because Rock is probably making Stefano aware of the move she's about to make, asking for some approval, or maybe even seeking some assistance, but everything will be leading towards a showdown between Ronnie and Rock. Now this is what many of us have been waiting for the moment Ronnie was introduced, this showdown. However, the first question I have is, where's Marvin? Because there is no way Marvin lets Rock go to this meet on her own. Whether Marvin's in handcuffs, whether Rock has been summoned on her own by Kanan, or whether she has her own plan up her sleeve, who knows. At this moment in time it really is a guessing game, but if we were to look at this logically based on what we've seen in past events, I think one storyline that is a go-to reference is how Kanan was set up in OG Power. Will we see something similar in this scenario? Because Kanan will have to make a decision. We've got the synopsis that teases Kanan and Rock will be making some fateful choices, and this showdown that we see in the trailer just backs that up, with Rock telling Kanan he doesn't know what he's doing, with his response being he does. So how this all plays out, let's wait and see. But my personal prediction is that Kanan will turn on Ronnie and pick his mother. Maybe not out of choice, maybe he's forced into making that decision, but I do think episode 10 will end in the death of Ronnie Mathis. Now, even though my personal opinion is Kanan betraying Ronnie, Rock will find herself in the firing line, and I guess the questions are, who's taking the shot? And is this before or after the showdown with Ronnie? Will it be like a Monet storyline similar to what we saw in Book 2 Ghost? And when and where does Kanan get kidnapped, and who by? This is something we saw in the official trailer that we haven't seen yet. I also raised a point in my breakdown. The graffiti on the back is very similar to the graffiti on Ronnie's van, so again, whether this is after or before the showdown, let's see how this plays a role in the whole war. So let's wait and see, because just like I mentioned at the start, we know where the chess pieces are, we just don't know where and how they're gonna move. With Jukebox, we see her with a gun to her head from a mystery person. Now I would not be surprised if Jukebox was caught up in the middle of this family war between Kanan and Rock, which is an angle I do think we have to consider. When she was brought in for questioning by Agent Tanner, he did warn her that none of them can make an escape from their fucked up families, and I for one wouldn't be surprised if this was a tipping point for Duke to say fuck it, I'm out of Queens, and maybe join the military. I think she's most likely going to lose a lead role as a girls group, if not her place altogether, because we all know it's just not going to end well with her music, especially if she is caught up with her family's mess. I think she's going to leave Queens, which look, I do have to agree with. I think it really is a smart idea to send Duke to military and have her come back in season 4, where she's even more ice cold. When we were introduced to her character in OG Power, her face was just stone cold. It was ice with zero emotion, and I think going down the military route probably does make sense. Now elsewhere, a few storylines to bear in mind is Famous potentially making a deal with Shirley's friend Lowell Gelford. Although whether Lou's disappearance hinders his prospects, let's wait and see, because I do think it is going to be very interesting to see how they end Famous' story arc in season 3. With Lou, I think they're going to show him being in a rehab center, and who knows, the same could also be said about Unique. I raised the point about Major Look being a theme across the entire episode, so will this bring up a surprise? Drop all your thoughts and predictions down below in the comment section for what will no doubt be an explosive end to one of the best seasons we've seen in Power for a while. Drop all your comments down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.